When I first started reading this manhwa, I expected it to be a simple power fantasy, a story I've read 1,000 times. Little did I realize it was going to be one of the most emotional, heartfelt, and compassionate stories I've ever read. This manhwa is unlike any other manhwa I've read. With a name like SSS Class Revival Hunter, it sounds like absolute garbage. But this story somehow blends an action power fantasy with a deep heartfelt story revolving around the compassion of the main character. Typically, a power fantasy focuses on the aura farming and the flexing of the main characters. But SSS Class Revival Hunter focuses on telling the deeply emotional stories revolving around the antagonists of each arc, while maintaining all of the best aspects of the power fantasy genre, all of the aura farming, all of the flexing, all of the cheat abilities. This story takes place in a world where a tower mysteriously appears, and certain individuals are granted skills, allowing them to have strange supernatural powers. Our main character, Gongja, starts off quite pathetic and cringy. He is obsessive over the number one strongest hunter, self-pitying his entire life and not actually doing anything to change it. It almost starts off confusingly bad. In that moment, he is granted a skill, an ability to copy a skill from anyone who kills him. A skill that only activates once you're dead, with no condition saying anything about him coming back from death. An ability awarded to him in almost mockery by the world, by the system. By chance or by coincidence, he later meets the Flame Emperor, the man known to be the strongest in this world. However, he witnesses the man murdering someone in cold blood. He overhears them talking about a plot to murder the Flame Emperor. But in this moment, he isn't all too concerned about that and just tries to get away. However, he is caught and begs for his life, swearing he didn't know anything about the assassination attempt. The Flame Emperor believes him, but regardless, he was murdered in turn. In the darkness, after he's already been killed, his ability activates. The skill to steal his opponent's skills. He sees cards floating above him, the Flame Emperor's skills. He reaches forward and grabs the skill, a skill that will be no help to him. After all, he's already dead. What could it possibly do? However, by some turn of luck or fortune, the skill he grabbed allows him to regress one day into the past. Whether by luck or by chance, or something greater, he was able to live, and was granted an absolutely terrifying ability in the process. He now learns why the Flame Emperor was so successful. Every time he was killed, he went back one day, with knowledge of what happened in the future. He has learned the Flame Emperor is a sadistic man who is willing to kill anyone who gets in his way, a man who's deceived the public, and a man who will be his greatest threat if he survives. So now I pose to you a question. How do you kill an immortal time traveler? A time traveler who, if you kill, will be able to revive a day before you killed him and hunt you down. Let alone that, but this time traveler is the strongest human on Earth, with a fire ability that can burn you in seconds. The man who has killed you in cold blood. How could you possibly get revenge? How could you possibly stop him? How do you kill him? The answer? Insanity. Gongja kills himself again and again and again. 4,090 times he kills himself, going one day back each time, each death. The only way to kill a time traveler who has the ability to revive is to kill him before he gets that ability. So he kills himself, back to the week before he got his power, before he became the unkillable monster. However, Gongja tests him one more time, to see if he is truly a heartless monster. He pretends to be injured and asks the Flame Emperor for a simple potion, even offering to pay market price for said potion. The Flame Emperor decides he would much rather rob Gongja and kill him in case he wanted revenge. So Gongja decides to resolve himself. He resolves himself to killing the Flame Emperor and vows to never live with regrets anymore, a vow central to Gongja as a character. So Gongja kills him. He changes his own fate and the fate of the world itself. Now, taking a step back, you might be thinking, how insane can Gongja be to be able to kill himself 4,000 times? Revenge and self-preservation are important factors, sure, but there's something else, something I'll expand on later in the video. After having achieved his goal, Gongja takes some time to relax. When he runs into the current number 1, the Sword Saint. Having probably gone a bit insane from all the suicide, the first thing he thinks, like the absolute psychopath that he is if he could rage bait the old man into killing him, so that he can steal one of his abilities. After all, being this time's number 1 most powerful hunter, he surely must have a strong ability. However, not all is what it seems, and with 0 rage bait required, the old man seems more than down to kill Gongja, even calling him a first-rate assassin. The Sword Saint reveals he can see how many people someone has killed as a number floating on top of their head. And Gongja has cut down 4,091 each time he killed himself. Each death was counted as a kill to the system. And now a new hunt begins. This time, Gongja is the hunted. And in a swift yet beautiful motion, Gongja is murdered by another human once again. As his reward for dying again, this time he gets to choose one of the Sword Saint's abilities. However, Gongja, horrified, finds out that the Sword Saint has no S-class abilities, and simply got here with true hard work and effort. Gongja chooses a skill at random, and wakes up 24 hours in the past. Except this time he wakes up next to another man.
Hey, yo!
A strange ghost is floating around, neither of them having any idea what's happening. Gongja pieces together that he accidentally copied him, as he was the skill Gongja copied, and they are both very pleased with the new arrangement. Enter the Sword Emperor, and Gongja's new master. The Sword Emperor is an extremely experienced hunter from another world that died and is now just a ghost. Gongja, in an effort to grow stronger, accepts him as his new master, and the ghost becomes a hilarious foil to the main character. Personally, the ghost sidekick archetype has always been my favorite, since it allows the main character to interact with someone freely and gives him ample opportunity to have an easy foil to bounce off of. Since the ghost knows everything about the main character, it allows him to have information that a typical side character would not have. What follows is a hilarious dynamic of master and student, the master constantly pushing the new student in new and cruel ways, and you slowly get to see Gongja develop as a fighter, earning his power through trial, effort, and error. Now, quick side note, while training, Gongja gets killed by an orc, and because of this he's able to learn one of the orc's abilities. He chooses the orc language, and he just uses the skill to trick a poor orc into lowering his guard and just kills him. Look at him. The poor orc looked so devastated. After he grows in some strength, he decides to challenge the next dungeon. Initially, the guard doesn't let him in, because you're not allowed to challenge a dungeon alone. So Gongja decides to lie to the guard about how his lover died, and he has ligma. He says he is going to die in a few days, so he wants to die in battle. Utterly touched, the guard lets him in. Now this dungeon is when the story goes from pretty good to truly uniquely heart-wrenching. Enter the Burning Mansion floor boss. Entering this dungeon, you are greeted with hundreds of smiling dolls, each asking you to play with them. Now your first thought may have been, kill them with fire! And don't worry, that was their idea for you. Flames erupt from every angle, as thousands of tiny eyes watch you from every direction. The rules of this dungeon are simple. Survive. Survive the burning flames and find a single real doll and kill it. Gongja wraps himself in aura and tries to find the real one. But very quickly he's running out of aura. He tries to choose a doll, but he chooses incorrectly, with the doll melting as he touches it. He also burns to death. However, in this skill selection he gets after death, we get a strange hint that all might not be what it seems. He chooses a skill that allows him to resist flames and moves on, but this time, Gongja gets a strange penalty that he did not previously receive. Relive the trauma of the enemy who killed you. The boss of this level were starving orphans. Orphans who were taken advantage of, tricked into being tools of propaganda, and blamed for the suffering of the populace. A group chosen to pin all of the problems of society on, and in turn, sacrificed. One day, a fire is accidentally started in the mansion, and as the occupants are running for their lives, only worried about escaping with their riches, the children are forgotten, and left to burn. As Gongja watches the trauma unfold, he is filled with such hatred. Even though he is simply an apparition seeing the past, he screams at the fleeing mansion dwellers, urging them to go back and save the children. It is explained that the floor bosses aren't simply monsters to be defeated and moved on from, but the haunting trauma of different worlds, long forgotten memories of suffering. Gonja is now faced with the reality of what to do next. Kill the copies of the children suffering as the floor boss? He's able to do it now with his new fire-resistant skill. He reflects, thinking about what the Flame Emperor would do. But he is no such man. Others have attempted to challenge the dungeon before and got out alive. He realized the only way people could have escaped the dungeon in the past was due to the children letting them go. They let them live. With a face filled with sorrow, he enters the dungeon again. Instead of killing the children, he does the one thing the children wanted. Sure, let's play. What follows isn't a massacre, but a memorial. Each doll, one by one, he sends them off in peace. One by one, thousands of dolls he sends off with respect, until he gets to the final one. Trapped in a cage in the basement of a burning mansion, forever reliving its trauma. He holds its head, releasing the final soul, the final child. And with that, the dungeon boss is defeated, and the level is cleared. At first, Gonja seems like your simple power fantasy protagonist. He aura farms, he has cheat abilities, he grows stronger through every battle, and has the tenacity to keep trying when he fails. But what sets Gonja apart isn't his motivation. It's not to become the strongest, or revenge, it's compassion. He dies and tries again and again to save those around him. There is a scene from a later arc that encompasses Gonja very well. The quest on the 12th floor is a grand raid. It involves all the hunters and sets up an Among Us style scenario, making a few of the top hunters traitors, if they choose to be so. In one of Gonja's previous attempts, the top 10 hunters turn on each other and it becomes a bloody massacre. So how does he deal with this situation? He makes a deal with the top 10 to wait patiently for 5 days. Normally this would be done with thousands of hunters trying, and many of them would die. But he resolves to clear the dungeon himself, alone. Why did he do it? What resolve motivated him? To not let a single soul die. It was not personal gain that motivated him. He simply resolved to fight the boss alone, to protect those that would die otherwise, to protect those who would kill each other otherwise. And so once again, he dies, and dies, and dies, again and again. In a seemingly endless loop, he slowly, swing by swing, attack by attack, learns the boss's moves. But he isn't able to defeat it alone. With the help of 2 others who refuse to sit by and wait, who are motivated by his selflessness, they are able to make the boss retreat to the next floor. But once again, the story is not so simply about defeating a boss. Since he died to the boss and took one of its abilities, he has to relive its trauma as well. Once again, he learns of the suffering the boss has gone through, the pain that Estelle has gone through. They say a good villain makes a good story. SSS Class Revival Hunter isn't a story that is satisfied with making a floor boss or a simple monster with each arc. Each arc focuses extremely deeply around the human story of the villain, side characters, and Gonja himself. The story cares about its villains and side characters because Gonja cares about them. He sacrifices himself again and again to help others, often suffering through their own trauma as well. And after that intense battle, he reflects. I lived like trash. I lived while envying, scoffing at others, and wasted the day away by drinking. I used the coldness of the world as an excuse for hardening my heart. I threw away my life. And that's why he doesn't anymore. Each day he focuses on getting the best outcome he could possibly think of, saves as many people as he can, and resolves himself to never live with regret. I truly encourage you to read the story. While it has beautiful, deep, heartfelt moments, it's still an action power fantasy. It has the awesome moments, the aura farming, the flexing on others, the epic battle scenes, the hack abilities, and the funny moments in between. And I love all those things. It's why I read the genre in the first place. Because at the end of the day, you just want some slop power fantasy. But sometimes that slop comes with a side of caviar. Well, I hope you liked that video. It took a long time to make, much longer than expected. There's plenty left in the story that I didn't cover and plenty I haven't finished actually reading. Arguably some of the best arcs are yet to come. So let me know if I should make a part 2. And if you got this far into the video, I assume you liked it. In that case, I want to let you know this was my first video and I would genuinely appreciate a sub and like.